Uh-huh.
Well, we are here. It's finally back again. Let them know with Joe, episode number 1 for season 3. And we're starting off big and strong with the one and only Jimmy Hyde. Everybody can give it a clap.
Thanks, man. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me on the pod. Big fan. First time, long time.
First time, long time,
hmm
but we're here for a great time. That's what I always say. That's
Not a long time though.
not a long time. We're here for a short time. How does it? I don't know how that song goes. There's a song about that, I believe.
I'm sure there's a song about it. Yes.
There definitely is. Jimmy, you are now living in Sydney, Australia. More actually Maroubra, close to Maroubra Beach. How's it living over there? How's it been lately in the summer there right now?
Uh, it's been a great for me for some who doesn't really like summer. So it's been very rainy. It's been very cool. It's been very windy. I'm from Canada, so anything below 20 degrees Celsius is my gray zone. Um, but it's been a fantastic summer that way. But my wife and I have been trying to do the beach as much as we can. There was a bit of a blue bottle jellyfish situation this past week, so we weren't able to go swimming as much as we want. But Maruba's good. Maruba's loud. Lots of police sirens. Although that could just be us living next to a fire station. I'm not really sure. Could be that.
Could be that as well. That's very true. I've been to your house a few times. I've been to Maroubra Beach a few times. I've been to the beach with you a few times as well. One of those times, I actually almost died. You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. That's hard to forget.
I'm going to tell that story really quick, just because it's a really good story, and it actually is pretty crazy for myself as well. But anyways, it was when you got married. Is that correct? Right?
No, I think you were here for someone else. Was someone else getting married? Maybe not. I don't know.
No,
Let's just say it was my. Let's say it was my wedding.
Yeah, it was your wedding, and we went to the beach together. Oh no, something else. I don't know. Anyways, so we're there in the beach, you and I, and we have church that night, and I'm supposed to play the bass that night as well. And
Very important instrument as well. So if you don't show up to church,
yeah,
the band is screwed.
that's true. Very true. You would have had to play the bass for me.
Mhm.
So we went out on the water. We're just kind of like riding the waves or whatever, and then we start getting further out, and then you're like, you know what, we should probably go back in. I'm like, yeah, cool. And so you go back in pretty easily, but I was a bit further out, and I ended up getting caught in one of those rips, man. But the thing of no, actually, no, what happened? Sorry, let me rewind it. But you
Rewind it.
you end up going in, or no, we're hanging out, and then this girl shows up in the pool in the ocean. I'm not gonna name her name, but she is very beautiful.
She knows who she is.
She knows who she is. Yes, she was very beautiful. I've seen her before. We knew her, and it was just random seeing her there. And I was like, she looked like a freaking mermaid in the water. It was amazing. So, anyways, I'm like, oh wow, she's beautiful. Let's chat. So we're chatting out there in the water, and as we're chatting, we're getting further and further out. You had already gone in and into the back on the beach, and we're moving further and further out. And she says we should probably go back to the beach. We're getting pretty far out. I'm like, yeah, that's true. Let's do it. So she goes, and I'm a bit further out, so I get caught in the rip, and I'm just out there like, dang, I'm swimming. I'm just swimming. I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like,
You're doing exactly what you're not supposed to do. You're fighting the rip.
exactly. So I'm trying to go in, and it's taking me further and further out. And then there's this random dude out there. He's like, hey, you all right? And me being like the big tough guy that I am, like, yeah, I'm good, no worries. And I'm just like going at it, bro. But he knew I wasn't good. He definitely knew. And so I'm just going and going. And then finally he's like, I better go help him. So he goes and helps me, and he grabs my hand, and he just starts pulling me in, and he says, just keep swimming. And by this time, my arms are dead tired. I've just been going at it for the longest time, trying to swim. And I'm going and going. And then we get further, we're starting to get in. And then he grabs a little paddle board from someone and gives it to me. And I'm on this little paddle board trying to come in, and this guy's pulling me in. And then it's like, I don't know. I felt like everybody's watching me. I don't know if was it people watching me or no?
Yeah, 100%. Everyone was watching you.
Were they really? Bro, that was so embarrassing. And I come out on there. I'm just like, my arms are tired. I feel like I just did like freaking 500 push-ups, and I was just laying on the freaking sand for a long time.
Well, I remember that. I remember that well too. I remember I had made it to shore quite easily.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I think I turned around to say something to you, and I was like, where the hell did Joe go? And you were just way out in the water. You were struggling too, and I was like, oh no, this is not a good sign. And then yeah, I feel like, I don't know if you felt like this. Maybe I'm imagining it. I felt like the whole beach just kind of gravitated to that side, and everyone got super worried. And then I don't know if I imagined this as well, but I think you were crying and like you had the ugly snot coming out of
No,
your nose.
I
It was
definitely was
super
not.
embarrassing.
I definitely was not crying,
And
but I did.
then your guardian surfer angel brought you to shore, and I started doing mouth to mouth. It was
For no reason, even though I was already breathing, started giving me mouth to
yeah.
mouth.
No,
I was like, "Hey, I don't need that, bro." But you still did it anyway. So
I don't know how CPR works, so I just let this guy do his thing. And long story short, you made it to church to play bass that night.
Yes, I did. I made it, and that was very traumatic for myself. And to be honest, I haven't really gone out
Since
to the ocean that much since. Like it
oh,
kind of
no.
it kind of scares me a little bit. Not gonna lie. But yeah, thanks
The
for being a
ocean
good
scares
friend.
me too. The ocean scares me too. When you get, even when you're swimming between the flags and you get caught in a little rip and you feel like the ocean pulling you out, even just like a little tiny bit, that freaks me out. I can deal
Yeah.
with the fish, I can deal with the sharks, I can deal with weeds and all that crap. But as soon as you feel the friggin' riptide pulling you out a little bit, that's what freaks me out.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for being a great friend and helping me during that time as well. I really appreciate
Well,
it.
I was praying for you.
Yeah,
I was on my knees in
so
prayer.
much that can do.
Yeah.
But I've actually never heard like were people actually watching? Because I've never actually asked you.
No.
No, they weren't. Okay,
No
I feel
one's
like
watching.
I feel like they were
Just
though.
me and that girl. We're
Yeah,
like, oh man.
man, this guy's a freaking loser, man.
That girl who abandoned you.
Yeah, she abandoned me, and she's like, far out, bro. That was
Well,
very embarrassing. For
she was a
me.
mermaid, right? So she made it to shore
Yeah, made it to
easily
shore,
as
then
well.
went back into the water. With
Hey, how are things in San Francisco?
yeah, things are great, man. I've been here in Oakland for about 2 years now. No
Oh,
longer
my
in
bad.
San Francisco. You're good. But I mean, it's basically just right over the bridge. So we're right beside each other. It's not that far. We go in there every now and then to grab a slice of pizza because they have a really good pizza place called Square Pie Guys that I love. It's amazing.
Is this a new sponsor?
I wish they were. But you know what?
dang.
Square Pie Guys, if you're listening to this, please sponsor me. I will forever just take free pizza. You don't have to pay for anything. Just give me free pizza and I'll be good.
Off pizza would be amazing.
It's Detroit style. Have you heard of Detroit style pizza?
No.
It's a thicker crust and it's like has cheese on the outside of the crust that's cooked. And it's square, of course. It's amazing. They're opening one up in Oakland on March 1st. I almost thought about applying because I just love that place so much. I would like to work there. But things here in the Bay are great. Well, they're getting better. Things are opening up now. We now have outside dining. We now have well, that's pretty much it for now. We don't have inside dining yet. Of course, you can just drive to one of the counties beside us and they have it all already open. But here in Alameda County, we don't have that going yet. So kind of just still chilling here in my house. Have a few roommates and just working from home. Been doing that for about a year now. It's pretty crazy to be doing that for a year.
It's been about a year,
bro.
A year of COVID.
A year of COVID, bro. I remember when it first happened, and there was a guy that was like kind of like helping with church, whatever, and he was like saying before they did anything about it or anything, it was like in February beginning or maybe in January. They had heard about like they had heard some things about it, and they were saying like, hey, maybe we should start like checking temperatures on people. I'm like, bro, don't do that. That's stupid. Like. Like it's just like a common flu, bro. Don't worry about it. It'll work out. And then sure enough, 2 months later, and we're freaking locked down for the next year, bro. Crazy.
That's so true. I remember hearing about it as well. And I was one of those people who was like, man, it's just the news doing what the news does and trying to make people scared. So they, watch the news and pay attention to the news and subscribe to the news. I mean, that's probably why I have a sports podcast and not like a medical degree.
But y'all are good now, right? It's pretty much good. I heard that there's another lockdown is it Melbourne or somewhere? Or
yeah, Melbourne just got locked down. They have, I think they have that mutated, that mutated coronavirus. Here you go, darling.
Hi, Jamie.
Joe says hi. So yeah, Melbourne has that mutated coronavirus that seems to have made its way to shore. It's still not really that bad. Though I think they're just trying to like. There's only 10 cases.
in all of Australia, or just
in
in
all of
Melbourne?
Melbourne.
Oh, Melbourne.
So you and the Americans, you guys have a way of dealing with the coronavirus. It's and we here in Australia have a different way.
It's
We
true.
seem to as
What
soon as someone gets sick, we just shut everything down.
what worked? Is that pretty much what it did? Y'all you kind of just shut everything down.
Mhm. Well, I think it's probably that Australians like listen.
I'm listening.
Nobody loves being locked down. Are you
Right.
listening?
I'm listening. Yes.
Nobody likes being locked down. Nobody likes wearing masks. Um, but when the government tells us to do that stuff,
You do it.
we all just go with it because we all understand what's at stake.
Right.
And people's lives are at stake, people's businesses are at stake. So begrudgingly, we do it. In America, it just seems like there's such a distrust of the government that a large portion of people just refuse to wear masks, even though it works, and they refuse to stay inside or they disobey lockdown orders and all that stuff. So, I mean, I've just got the numbers right here. In the last 24 hours in New South Wales,
Wait, really? You have the numbers there?
yeah, I got the app. Do you have does the United States have a COVID app?
We might, but I don't use it.
Dang.
If we do,
Okay. Well, I got the COVID app right here, and I got some numbers for you.
Give
So
me some
just in the
numbers.
past 24 hours,
Okay.
there were 2 locally acquired cases, which means like person to person, and then there was 4 acquired overseas. That's it. 6 cases in the last 24 hours. So we're doing quite well, and it's a group effort because people just
Yeah.
they don't want to keep doing this, and yeah.
Hey, you know it's crazy too, because people were like, "Of course, it affects our economy and it affects our small businesses and all that." I get that, it's real, but if we would have actually just all this to the government the beginning time, then we'd be open like y'all are right now, and just kind of like doing things like right. Of course,
Mhm.
you did run into the issues, not so much with Canada, but maybe in Mexico and all that, and the borders that could affect some things as well, because you don't really have any borders in Australia that people can really come into as well. So that's another thing, but
I
yeah,
don't
man.
know because it's changing all the time. We do have like we do have state borders that I'm not sure if ever all state borders are opened up or how that works. But yes, we
Yeah.
just have like, oh man, I should probably know how many states we have in Australia. I should have stopped talking and now I have to
There's
say
like
it.
6, right?
Like, I think there's 6.
I
I wish
think
it
there's
said it
6.
on the app I have open, but it doesn't. So
Man, well, I can't wait till we get back to it and get back to sports, and really, because I've been looking it up because baseball season's about to start. Shout out to the Houston Astros. Let's go, baby.
mm.
And I want to go to the games, man. I really want to go to games. And the opening season for the Oakland A's, they're playing the Astros here, so I really want to go to these games.
How'd you feel about losing George Springer to the Blue Jays?
Man, that's why I don't have him up here right now, bro. Granky. You know, I knew it was gonna happen. I just hate that our Astro staff, we're not willing to pay him more. Like, this guy is one of our better players. He's really good, super clutch. And I was like, man, we should have paid for this guy, but I don't know, man.
I think the Blue Jays needed him more,
Well,
to be honest.
they definitely paid more, so
Mhm.
we'll see what's up. We still have a really good team, to be honest. We have this guy Miles Straw who's gonna be taking his spot there in the center field, and he's super fast, really good. He played a lot this past year as well. And then we have some guys that are returning that have been hurt. So we should have some good stuff coming this
Mhm.
year, even though we did lose him, you know. And we have some good pitchers, bro, that really showed up this past year. That we had about 4 or 5 rookies, bro, that pitched for the first time and they killed it. And now they're ready for this year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, your starting rotation is unreal. You got Greinke, Verlander. Is he back healthy?
It might still be another year because he had that surgery, yeah, and that surgery takes some time. So I don't know if he'll be back at all even this year, because he got it in the middle of last year. So we'll see what it's up. But man, if we can get Verlander back, it'll be good. But we have a bunch of other guys that will be back. His name is I'm losing his name, but Ozuna, I think is yeah.
Yes,
He,
is it Marcel something.
I think yeah. He should be back, he was one of our biggest closers so it'll be good to have him there. And
Yeah, he
then
used to be a Blue Jay.
oh really?
Yeah, he was lights out, and then they had to trade him because of off-field stuff.
Well, we have some of the same issues with us too. And then we
Oh,
have
let's not get into that. We don't have to.
and then we have Jordan Alvarez, who was gone all last year, who's going to be able to come and be our DH, which is going to be good for us as well. So we have some good stuff coming up. I'm excited for it. Super stoked for it.
Well, officially, the Houston Astros suck. I have to just go on record.
You can say
and
that.
but,
I mean, you have the right to your own opinion, but that's they definitely don't suck.
Yeah, true.
Are you saying because of their cheating or because they just?
Well, yeah,
like, is that
it's because they're cheating. I just have to go on record and say that they suck.
You know what's funny? I was reading yesterday.
Personally, I have nothing against them.
Who's that white ball-headed comedian that's always like pushing the envelope when he's
Bill Burr.
Yes, he actually was speaking about it. Did you see that? What he said?
I haven't seen it.
He was basically saying like he has nothing against what they did, to be honest. And he's like, if these other like organizations such as the Yankees can have this big of amount of money and win these World Series with these guys that shot up and got steroids, that's still the same thing. They cheated too, but they still have their their World Series rings and all that stuff. No one said anything about that, but
yeah, true.
I guess everything's different compared. I don't know, whatever.
Just a different set of rules, I guess. I mean, everything in the steroid era should probably have like an asterisk.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't know when it was. Like, it would in early 2000s to like 2010.
Yeah.
2012 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Everything that happened in that era should just have like a massive asterisk because I'm sure they were all juiced up.
It had to be, or the cork bats. All of that. Everybody was doing that then too. What was I gonna say? I always give my friend a hard time because he's from LA, and LA won the Lakers won, and so did the Dodgers. And so, but I always give them the asterisks on those because they won. They can only win during the pandemic. They can only win when it was a shortened season and all that. So I always give them a hard time with that because I hate the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's totally. It had nothing to do with the fact that the Dodgers were just unbeatable and the Lakers had LeBron James and Anthony Davis, two of the most dominant basketball players in the entire league. It had nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with that at all. So talking about sports, I don't know much about NHL, but I do know what's going on right now. Is that correct? It's happening?
Yes, we're back. 15 games into the season. There's some teams that have played significantly less because of COVID. I think there's like 5 or 6 teams that had to postpone games because they had players on their teams that were sick. It's kind of interesting this year in the NHL. They had to realign the divisions because of, again, the coronavirus. So all the Canadian teams are playing each other, which I find really super interesting. If American hockey fans probably don't find it that interesting, but I find it super interesting. My team is not doing well. The Ottawa Senators.
Which that's the North Division, right? Of course.
That's the North Division. Yeah.
They're last.
Yeah, they're way last. They are like, if last place. Yeah, they're just. I was trying to think of something to say. They're just last place, and they're last place by a lot. They only had 3 wins and 1 overtime loss, so they got 7 points out of a possible, I think, 30.
Just looking at the stats right now.
We don't got to look at the stats, do we?
The only team I'm looking at right now is the Dallas Stars.
Okay,
they're not doing too well either.
Well, they were one of those teams that got that had to
change.
I think they might have changed, but they also had to postpone a few games. So I think we're finding out more and more that postponing games is a necessary evil, but it probably just wrecks people's flow because athletes are they're like suckers for routine. So if you say, okay, well, we have to postpone for 2 weeks because someone got sick, it's like, okay, well, we got all into this rhythm. They were practicing and playing, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we have to shut down for 2 weeks, and now you can't play a game for 4, or you can't play 4 or 5 games. But I think you should be excited if you're into the Dallas Stars. They got pretty close last year to winning the Stanley Cup.
I actually did see that. I don't pay much attention to NHL. I do apologize. I feel like I would get more interested if I actually went to a game because I've never been to an actual real game, and people say it's amazing and they love going to the games. Like, it's one of the best things ever. So I want to go to
NHL.
game.
NHL is got to be. I mean, I'm probably biased because I'm a NHL fan, but it has to be one of the best live events. I'm a big I love going to baseball games. I haven't been to one in a while, but I love going just because it's so much fun. You just sitting outside, eating peanuts, drinking beer, and you can yell whatever you want.
Bro,
people just
I miss it so much, bro. I miss it so much.
in the NHL, it's like it's so fast and it's so violent. And then when if a fight does break out, it's like it's so special. It is more special than someone scoring a goal. It is. There's nothing like a live hockey game. I don't think.
Man, I gotta go. We have a team. I guess San Jose, right? There's a team down here.
Yep. You guys got San Jose, and if you felt like going into the big city, LA, got a team. Anaheim as well. I don't know if Anaheim's close to you.
No, Anaheim is still down there in Southern California.
Yeah. So you got options.
Yeah. I was gonna go back to what you were saying about how all these reschedules for COVID have really can really affect the players, and that's one of the reasons why. That's one of my arguments for this past baseball season and this past basketball season. And I'll say because number one, for baseball, we had over 100 less games than what actually have been played. So that really changes a lot of how people can really play, or how they prepared for playing and all this stuff and everything like that. Because there's normally 182 games, they only play like 62 games, I believe. But with and it's same thing with the NBA. One of the biggest things that LeBron has done is that because his older age, he's been tired. He gets tired easily, easily. And so I'll say, well, because they had less games, he wasn't as tired as he would have been, if they would have played like their full regular season. So that's kind of my argument. But people always say, well, then in that case, everybody should have been on the same playing field as well. I'm like, yeah, it's okay, I get what you're saying, but whatever.
I mean, basketball is annoying to me. For like, I'll first I want to say I appreciate the skill and the talent level and all that, but it just seems like there are certain players who just dictate the terms and they kind of run the whole show, and it's very superstar driven. Which again, like that's fine if you're into it, and I definitely appreciate basketball, but I just get annoyed when I hear LeBron James when he says he just wants to sit out a game, or Kawhi Leonard when he was with the Raptors, it was all about load management.
Bro, I'm talking about Kawhi Leonard right now, bro. That guy pisses me off.
Right. So I don't get that. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of that. I'm glad Chris Newby isn't here because he would be yelling in my face about how he disagrees. But since he's not here, I'm just going to get this off my chest.
I don't care what Chris Newby has to say, bro. Even the same thing with the whole them wanting to, go to a different team. That whole thing where like I'm tired of being here. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that does that annoy you too?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I kind of I understand that basketball is set up differently, and I guess I would sort of compare everything to ice hockey because that's my favorite sport, and that's kind of what I grew up watching. But Bill Simmons always says that the NBA is in danger of becoming like NBA 2K. It's just superstars going wherever, and fans are, they're starting to like players more than they do teams.
Right.
So you got like a whole portion of people. I know some people in Australia who just like LeBron James as opposed to like the Cavs or the Lakers. They don't care
one of my
what team he's on.
That's one of my friends is. He's a LeBron James fan. So anywhere LeBron James goes, he's now a fan of that team. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not judging if you're into
can
that,
judge, bro. You can judge.
Okay. Well, then those people are stupid and their decision making is terrible.
That's fair. So since I guess a little bit about yourself.
Hey, can I just talk about this coffee mug real quick? Let them know a Joe coffee mug. Can we move a little merchandise? This is probably the most reliable coffee mug I've ever had in my entire life. It's an incredible bargain. It's an incredible steal. At I think it was, what is it, $19.99.
Well, to be honest, when you first bought it, I didn't have shipping on there, so you definitely got it for a lot cheaper than what it should have been because you were in Australia and got sent to overseas. So definitely, I ended up paying for that shipping for you. But yes, it was $15 for you.
I appreciate it because the conversion rate is definitely not my favorite. So I think I ended up paying $70 for this mug. But for Americans, it's much cheaper. It's the most reliable coffee mug I ever used in my entire life. And you can get them now at letemknowwithjoe.com. Just click on the merchandise tab. You won't be disappointed.
I appreciate that, Jimmy. It definitely took a long time to get to you as well. I know it took a few weeks.
It just got to me today. and I ordered it like 3 years ago.
You ordered it last year.
Mhm.
Oh man. Thanks for supporting me, bro. I really
No
appreciate it.
worries.
Always appreciate it. By the way, I mean, since we're always talking about it, you have your own podcast, and we haven't talked
Mhm.
about that, but you have a sports podcast. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it is the Three Average Sports Guys. I host it with two of my friends who are also incredible. Chris Newby, who you had on, and Harry Keating, who I'm hoping you'll have on
Probably
maybe
not.
this season. No pressure. We just I kind of had the idea for it one morning at breakfast. It was Newby was there, Harry was there, and it was like all the families. There's like 10 people, but I just saw Harry and Newby were like debating about the Seattle Seahawks or something, and they were like really going at it. And I'm a millennial, so I've always wanted to start a podcast. So I just was like, you know what, it could be kind of entertaining to watch you guys like debate about sports. I'm not like the biggest football fan, but I've spent this past season trying to learn more about it and learn more about the NBA, because like I was saying, like I'm just really big into the NHL, and I've kind of been a one sport person for the longest time. But Three Average Sports Guys, it's been a lot of fun. We are about 6 months in, having a really great time. It's a weekly episode. So if you're listening to this right now, why don't you subscribe?
Yes, subscribe. It's on all the major podcast streaming areas as well.
We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. We're on Google. We're on Stitcher, I think it is.
Oh, wow.
And we'll
Have
be
you heard
on
of Verbal?
Elon
Is there a
Musk's
Verbal?
internet. Verbal? Gerbil or verbal?
Verbal. I got
Oh.
an email today the other day that my podcast was now on Verbal or something like that. I'm like, oh, sweet.
That's
I don't know how
massive.
I did it, but it happened. Yeah. They have a great podcast. I've tuned in a few times. I've been on it one time. Hopefully
You're our first guest.
Yeah, hopefully I can get back on it during the baseball season, talk more about baseball and what's happening for that. I definitely am ready for that for baseball season. But yeah, great podcast. Always fun. They're funny. They are great. And you definitely have your knowledge of sports has gone a lot higher. I feel like during this
Totally.
podcast, you've learned a lot. You've had to learn a lot, right? Because
Totally. Well, Harry and I have just been trying to keep up with Chris Newby, because that guy can just talk about any sport. It doesn't matter if it's NHL or if it's some sort of like Cobra wrestling ring in India. He just seems to have like this in-depth knowledge of it. So Harry and I just try and keep up with Chris, but we do have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we try and make each other laugh along the way, and try and make people who listen to it laugh.
I did see the clip where Harry was saying about JJ Watt being the defensive player of the year and
TJ Watt.
Oh, TJ Watt, sorry, not JJ Watt. And Chris was flabbergasted by it.
Yeah,
So
it's
funny,
great.
bro.
And me as like an impartial third party, I kind of hosting duties fall on me a little bit. So I kind of just like I set up the fire. I get the kindling, I get the paper, and then I just try and light a match, and I let Chris and Harry duke it out.
I love it.
And that's just kind of fun for me to just sit back and watch.
No, it's great. Yeah. Three Average Sports Guys. They're on IG as well. Keep up with them on there. Follow them. Give them a follow as well. And I'll be
and
sure.
Twitter. We have a legendary Twitter handle at @3_average. Yeah,
I didn't even know that. I'll be sure to follow you on that as well.
Appreciate that, man.
Twitter's great. It's very overlooked.
Dude, I love Twitter. I always tell people when Jesus comes back, you're going to find out about it on Twitter first. This is great for sports. It's great for news. If it was great when Donald Trump was around and you could see what he was saying before the news agencies reported about it, it was great.
Yep. Real quick, what are you drinking in your cup for? Let them know it, Joe.
Thanks for asking, Joe. I am drinking an espresso blend from Black Betty. I got a bag of beans from a beautiful cafe just down the road from me called Taylor Espresso. If anyone in the Maroubra area is listening, check out Taylor Espresso, your local. Great coffee, great pastries,
and even
great
more
bacon
great
and
people.
egg rolls. Great people. Say hello to V. She's the owner. She's great too.
Shout out to
V. I don't know who her barista assistant, other person, I don't know what her name is. She's French, so if you speak French, try some French with her. I'm sure she'll appreciate that.
Enchanté, mademoiselle.
I was gonna say the other thing I know in French, but then I feel like it's probably not a good idea.
Well, I'm actually drinking some whiskey right now, just because it's a bit later in the day. I know over there it's like 10:30.
10:41.
10:41. Here it's about 3:41. but I already worked this morning all day on a
Mm.
Saturday, so I needed a quick drink. And
Damn, Joe.
yeah, I've been working hard, bro. Legit, I'm trying to get my finances in order. I'm working towards
Love
that,
that.
so definitely
It
trying
must
to
be
get
so
that.
hard to be, live in one of the most expensive areas in the entire world.
Bro, let me tell you,
I
it's
have like 7 flatmates.
well, I have it's four of us that live in this place. We each have our own bedroom, which is great. You know, better than before having to share rooms. But yeah, it definitely has been one of the biggest struggles I've ever had, more than Australia, bro. Because you know how it was in Australia when we were in college. Like, I don't know how was it for you, but for me, it was a struggle too. But you know, you finally got into a rhythm over there, and like, okay, cool. It's actually not that hard once you get a good job and you're working enough and all that. But here, when I first got here, I had no job whatsoever. I didn't know what I was gonna freaking do, and so it's kind of just sucked for me the first 3 years. But now I've been in this. I've had a good job. I've been working like a lot, especially during COVID. I've been doing this overtime, been killing it. So
Yeah, I
it's been
love
a good
that.
year for me. And so I'm just trying to get that in order, getting my body in order as well, getting healthier, going to the dentist and all that. So I'm just trying to kill it, bro. Legit. Oh, you know what's
That's so
crazy?
true. When you get older and your
Yeah,
parents stop paying for your dentist bill, you just stop going to the dentist.
bro.
Jamie and I were in the same boat. We went for the first time in like 7 years. That was probably like a year and a half ago. We haven't gone since.
So you don't go because I've been going every 6 months to get my teeth cleaned now,
Mhm.
which has been great. That freaking insurance has been good for with my job, so it's been really good for me. But I went to the orthodontist to get see what I need to do to get my teeth better. Bro, they're gonna charge me $6,000 to
Mm.
get all this stuff done.
What are you looking to get done?
Well, I still have two baby teeth, which is crazy. So what they have to do is got to figure out if they're gonna pull the teeth that I have that are still in there down or remove them and put fake teeth in. And then after that, give me braces and all this stuff. So it's a bunch of stuff that they need to do. And so but for sure it'll be braces as well. But I'll get the Invisalign, which
Yeah,
is not
cool.
too bad. But yeah, it's a lot of money. I want to go get a second opinion on Monday to see if I can find out somewhere else that's cheaper, bro. But it's just a lot of money, bro. It's crazy how much money that is.
I love that, Joe. You are killing it, man. You're killing it professionally, personally. You're killing it with church as well. I see you everywhere on the Hillsong SF Instagram pages and all that. Super proud of you, dude.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been quite a journey as well with that stuff. Now I'm overseeing young adults here at Hillsong SF, which has been cool. But it's just been tough because you're like trying to start a whole ministry with during COVID where no one can really meet up or anything. So it's trying to build that. But it's been fun, you know. It's been cool. So doing that. I mean, I guess while we're in this already, might as well talk about some stuff with churches and stuff like that. And
Mm.
well, first of all, let me actually explain how I met you. I met you in college, Hillsong Australia, Bible College there. Hillsong Australia, yeah. And we were in the same intake, so we were there for 3 years, did college together. Probably met more in the second year and third years when we hung out a lot more and became a lot closer. You're
Hmm.
probably one of the funnier guys that I've ever met, probably in my life.
Wow.
Yeah,
Dang, dude.
I know, bro. Not as funny as me, but you know, it's definitely still up there. So it's
Man, you
been
must have had too much of that whiskey.
yeah.
That whiskey's hitting you.
But it's actually good to hang out with someone that's actually funny because like being like one of the only funny guys in your group, sometimes you don't get the other people that are funny as well. So
Seriously.
it is really good.
Sometimes it's nice for you to laugh. You don't want to always be making other people laugh. Totally.
Exactly, bro. You understand. You understand completely. So definitely we've had our ups and downs there in college and Hillsong as well. But you know, all the stuff that's been happening lately in the news with you know, with not just people in Hillsong, but just also just church leaders and all this stuff. I don't know. Did you hear about what's his name? Ravi?
Ravi Zacharias,
Yeah.
R.I.P. Yes. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's kind of started happening, or stories started coming out about Ravi right around his death.
Yeah.
Not great.
They
Also,
actually put out a thing on their Instagram like 2 days ago about it where they anyways keep going, sir.
no,
Also
I was
what
just gonna say, not great. Super sad. Obviously, probably feel worse for the women he abused.
yeah.
than I do about Robbie, because I mean he's dead and gone, and now these women still have to kind of deal with it.
Yeah.
Also, I'm glad that two white men are talking about this. It seems like a great issue for two white men to talk about, sexual abuse in the church. I feel like not enough white men get a platform to talk about
Well,
this.
it's 1.5 because I'm Mexican too as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So 1.5 white man and a Mexican.
That's unverified, by the way. I'm not sure if you're full Mexican because you look nothing like your mom or your dad.
That's true. I might be adopted. I just don't tell me that, but that's very true. Yeah, bro. Even the whole thing like with Carl Lentz, that coming out as well, and just a bunch of church leaders that are, and a bunch of just kind of like, I guess the biggest thing that I've seen is kind of church leaders hurting people in the church. And I think that's a big thing that's been going around and been coming up a lot lately. And, coming from us, I did college in Australia as well. And, seeing things in the background and stuff like that. Even you yourself, we've had our chats about that stuff. It's been a big thing in general sometimes where you find that, or we find that leaders sometimes can take advantage of you, and definitely end up hurting some people. And if you're not strong enough, or if you're not, big enough to deal with it, sometimes it can hurt you even more, and like in the long run as well, later on in the years.
Totally.
I don't know. Do you want to kind of like chat a little bit about that, or your thoughts on that, and or your opinions on that as well? Whatever.
Yeah, I think first of all, I wanted to just double back to what you're talking about. You and I met at Hillsong College.
Yeah.
My earliest memories of you are that young and free hat you always wore. It didn't matter if it was raining. It didn't matter if it was 35 degrees. Didn't matter if we were at the beach in the city. Joe Martinez had that young and free hat with the two bold white letters on a black hat. And anyone listening to this knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Why anyone listening to this, some people might not know about it.
Yeah, I just remember that hat. And also my first memory of you would probably be first year intensives.
Oh man.
We had bust out to the hills, all wide-eyed and bushy tailed. And I think it was an intensive with Robert Ferguson, who is like a very intimidating dude, very lovely and wise dude, but very intimidating. Very British. And, I think it was the first intensive, 9 a.m. on a Monday or something like that. First day at Hillsong College. Super, super awesome. I think it was Old Testament. And he had just gone over this spiel about, actually, no, I think there was like a rumor had started circulating amongst first years that, Robert Ferguson doesn't like when you yawn in his class. He doesn't like it when you eat in his class. And if he sees you, he will call you out. And so this is 9 a.m. Actually, it might have been 9:05. Robert Ferguson is in class, and he gives a very great like opening 5 minutes, and then he kind of opens it up to questions. And then who should stand up but Joe Martinez? Very bold and very brave man that you are. You stand up, but you stand up with a mouthful of food.
Yes.
So you had been munching on a sandwich. It was 9 a.m. I'm assuming
it was not a sandwich. There were peanuts.
There were peanuts. And
which, by the way, that Jonathan, what's his last name?
Klingenberg.
Jonathan Klingenberg had given to me because we were both from Texas. Shout out to Jonathan Klingenberg. He's married. Hey, they're having a baby.
Love that. Love that for John.
Yep.
And so you stand up with a mouthful of peanuts and you grab the microphone and you just put that microphone basically in your mouth. So you can hear like,
that's not
while
true.
You're asking this question.
Is that real?
That's 100% real. And you ask the question, and like the class, everyone in it's like a room full of like 500 first years or something like that. It's big.
People. Yeah.
And even everyone in the room starts to giggle a little bit because they're like, Robert Ferguson literally just told us, don't eat, don't yawn. And this is Joe Martinez standing up with a mouthful of peanuts going, about the Old Testament. And so even Robert Ferguson could not believe what he was seeing. Like he was like literally like flabbergasted, kind of giggling under his breath while he rebuked you.
Yeah.
So you were the first person I ever see Robert Ferguson rebuke. Not the last, but you were the first.
Definitely not the last. But you know what? I'm actually glad I did that because I was able to carry that cross for people who couldn't, who might have ended up doing it first, so they can know, hey, actually don't do that. So
that was, yeah, it's true. I mean,
it was a sacrifice.
in a way, you with that mouthful of peanuts is sort of exactly the same as, Jesus Christ being murdered for our sins, putting on the crown of thorns, getting whipped in the back with a cat of nine tails, his flesh ripped off our body is the exact same thing as you standing up asking Robert Ferguson with a mouthful of peanuts something about the Old Testament.
Don't forget about the vinegar that was put in his mouth as well. That kind
Right.
of, same thing.
Right. So thanks for
Yeah.
that. You got a little tear in my eye. But going back to what we were talking about church leaders and abusing, those under them. This is a seamless transition, by the way.
Yeah, I love
it. You and I are in a group chat with our old college mates, and whenever something about church leaders and abuse happens, I always love it when Matt Hood is always like the first one who says, people just need to know how to say a good, healthy no.
That Hood's hilarious. I did get him on
Yeah.
the show, man. I miss that dude so much.
Yeah.
There
And
was
it's
a few
so
nights
true.
we went in and hung out together too, man. Those were some good nights.
Totally legendary. I don't know if we can get into that on the record, but
No,
off
definitely
the
can.
record we can
Off
probably
record,
giggle
for
about
sure.
it. So yeah, I think on one hand, people need to learn how to say no.
Explain that because people might not know what we're talking about.
I mean, when it comes to like leaders asking you to do something, or just having healthy boundaries, I think that's probably something that you need to earn a little bit. But saying no is never a bad thing. I think it's such a tricky thing because we're talking very vaguely about the very specific situation. So I guess we'll just Carl Lentz, that whole situation. It's terrible. It's terrible for Laura. It's terrible for the kids. He kind of, he tricked the whole entire church into thinking that he was this guy when he wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
And I feel, on one hand, I feel bad for the church just because it's going to be the people who are there, like the everyday people who are going to be stuck holding the bag, and they're going to be the ones who have to kind of pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the church is the people within it. And so knowing some of those people and spending some time in Hillsong, New York City, they're going to be fine because they have the best people.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I've spent a couple weeks there just like on vacation and meeting some of those people. They're just really awesome people.
Yeah.
And so I think there definitely needs to be healing there, and there needs to be forgiveness. But they're going to be fine because the people there are the best.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's going back to what you were saying about the whole healthy no. One thing I had mentioned, because in our group text that we have together with all of our our old friends from there, we also kind of chat about it sometimes too. And some of the things that I've said is just that so many times I think as leaders they never give the opportunity for people to say no, or create the environment for people to say no. And I think that's a big thing too as well. And I think for me as a leader that I've done in the past and continue to keep doing now is always give them the opportunity to say no. You know what I mean? Because I understand that what I need to do needs to get done. And if no one else will do it, I'll do it. But of course, I want to bring people along with me on my team to do it as well. But I also understand too that people have lives, people have their own things they need to deal with, that people have their own struggles. And if we don't give them a chance to say no, then I think we're hurting them in the end. And this not saying no to God or saying no to Jesus or anything. It's just saying no to some things that we might need to do to get things done. And that's okay. You know what I mean? Because in the end, it'll still get done no matter what. We'll figure out a way. But I'd rather people feel they can say no now than keep saying yes to the point where they get tired and get bitter and get hurt and just no longer want to even be part of a church, and sometimes even like love God because they feel like the church is just a better representation of who God is, and which is not true. I mean, which is true actually, because sometimes we are a better representation. But anyways, yeah, that's so true, man. And that's a real place. And I feel like we've gotten it wrong so many times, but I love that there's always there's always forgiveness and there's always time to mend and move forward. And I think what you were saying at Hillsong, New York, I think they're doing a great job trying to mend that and move forward. And they have really great people there that are going to be able to do that for them and help, just take a step forward and get that, better situation.
The talking about how to saying no and all that jazz. If you are from Hillsong College, that does not apply to you right now. You are not allowed to say no. You have signed up for a vocational education So, I mean, within reason, there are some
Right.
things you probably can't say no to, but like
Yeah.
in general, you cannot say no.
Like you did say no one time to Bjorn.
Yeah. And look at me now.
That's another story for another time, but that was a great
That's
story.
a legendary story. Uh, but if you're just a person in a church, yeah, you're definitely use wisdom and don't like overextend yourself.
For sure, 100%. It's so good, man.
Yeah, it's pretty exhausting to be a part of Hillsong Church these days. It seems like we're always in the news some way, somehow, fairly or unfairly. I just read that they are doing a docu-series about the Hillsong Church. I read that in Vanity Fair in one of the many news articles that Vanity Fair has done about
Wow.
Hillsong Church over the last few days. So it should be interesting
That
how we're
would be very
represented in the
interesting.
media.
Yeah, definitely have not been representing very well, but my heart goes out to even like Pastor Brian. I know that guy's
Yeah, so true.
has a lot on his plate, and he's having to kind of hold on to all that, and then once this stuff happens, people bring up the past of other stuff that's happening in his life, and it's just like, from his father and all that stuff. Like, man, come on, like it sucks, but I just hope there's people around him that are helping him and all that. I'm sure there are, but
So true. And I'm exhausted being part of Hillsong Church, just, for everything that has come out in the news, and kind of, it's like a fresh scandal every single day.
yeah,
But I can't imagine how Pastor Brian is. He's probably much more, he feels it more than I do. I'm
Oh.
very sure.
yeah, probably a little bit more. Yeah, not too much more.
Maybe just a little bit.
Yeah. Man, yeah, no, for sure. And I think this topic will definitely be an ongoing conversation that we'll continue to have, not only on this podcast, but just in churches all around the world, and especially in the United States. And it's going to keep having to happen. And I think it's good to have conversations, because if we don't have it, then we're just going to feel like we're kind of just putting it to the side and thinking that's not anything that's happening, but it's happening.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that thing Joe Rogan said about Carl Lentz?
About
anyone with a
his
what's his like penis outline?
His dick
Anyone
root?
with like his dick fruit? What is it?
He called it his dick root.
Dick root. Yeah. Anyone with a dick root like that has got to be, he's not on the level, that's for sure.
Man,
and we should have known.
To be honest, I definitely want to get that someday.
The dick root?
Yeah. That V.
Absolutely.
I'm definitely trying to get that someday.
I'm sure there's some sort of surgery that you can pay for.
I hate you so much. You kind of did have it that one time. You remember?
Yeah.
Like whenever you're doing the F45 pretty strongly.
I was ripped.
You
I was
were
ripped that summer.
Yeah.
I still got the V. It's just not as defined.
Yeah, that's fair. You're doing good though. I feel like you're doing really
Appreciate
good. So I guess kind of what's been happening. I kind of want to talk about more about what's happening also with your life. You've done the podcast, or what's the next moves in your life? What are you trying to move forward to in the future?
That's a great question, Joe. I am managing a cafe now in
Really?
Mascot. Yep, starting managing this week.
Wow.
I think. Excuse me, just burped into the mic. I'm sure you can edit that out. But
keep
that's kind of like a next immediate step. There's always like a million things that I feel like I want to try and do, but
Yeah.
that's also exciting. That's probably been one of the best things about this year, to be honest, is just sort of talking to my wife about kind of our dreams and our goals. And
Yeah.
she's so crafty with like just everything. She makes clothes. She's a graphic designer.
Shout out to her IG. What's her IG for that?
So Jamie, SEWJAIMI. So Jamie, follow her. She literally can just make pants in like a day.
That's fine.
Which is amazing. I find it hard to do the laundry in a day. So she's very, very talented. And just like hearing about what, could potentially be is very, very exciting. So there's always a million things up in the air. But who knows? Who knows what the future holds, Joe? It's very, you can't predict it. You can't. You just can't.
You can't, bro. But I feel like your podcast also is another big thing that you are doing, and I feel like that can definitely take off with just a few more. I don't know what it's going to take, but a few more, whatever it is, a few more ... I
think it's just social media. It's just social media. I'm finding out, I'm sure you feel the same way, that the biggest way is probably guests. Is one way to kind of get the word out about your podcast, and just social media and being consistent with that. We don't really have a brand because we can't really afford to like hire someone to brand it, so we just kind of do the best that we can with what we have.
Right.
And I'm actually having to go back and because I used to do social media for City Creative back in the day
Let's
for my third year
go.
in Hillsong College. And I'm trying to, think back to then, what I did and how I can make things better. But I'm just finding being consistent with social media and having guests on is I like two of the biggest ways and best ways to grow the podcast.
Speaking of guests, whenever you had Alex Pappas, did you find any growth at all when you had him? Because I know that guy posted about you on his IG. He has like thousands of followers.
Yeah, totally. He's super famous. Shout out, Pap. We did definitely. There was lots of random people from the Brazil area, and super thankful that they had hopped on.
Yeah,
I'm not sure they have tuned back in, but just having them for an episode was super, super great. So we did see that was probably one of our most engaged episodes ever. Even just got a few, I think it was 5 to 10 followers on Instagram. And I'll say this, we only have 106 followers on Instagram, but we, every time we get a new Instagram follower on the Instagram page, I love it. It's the best thing ever.
No, that's so amazing. I thought about creating another page for my show, but I was like, I'll keep it on my page for now, and we'll see what happens. But I don't know.
Yeah. How do you find, how do you grow your podcast? What are some of the things that you do to get your podcast out there? Besides tell your coworkers at Wix.
To be honest, it's just more of like you're saying, posting it on the IG and trying to. I've done a few because I also post mine on YouTube. I don't know if y'all do that yet.
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
I probably should start doing that. And I kind of I will what's the word? Advertise it. It's about $50 that I pay, and I've gotten quite probably over 1,000 views on some of my videos just from the $50 that I spent for
like on Google, you would Google advertise or Facebook advertise.
No, there's this. I'll send it to everyone what it's called, but it's this company where it's like with YouTube, and it'll advertise your that specific either episode on YouTube for about a week, and then or once the money runs out or whatever, and then once it does that, you'll get a certain amount of views and all that from that one episode and stuff like that. So
interesting. It's
giving me a few more followers or subscribers on YouTube as well for that. But yeah, I'll definitely send that to you. But I think the most part for me is just because, and that's something for you. I feel like it's just super fun to do. And so I love it. I'm just not very consistent with it. I think that's one thing I need to do better is my consistency with it. Cause I started it back in May, and I did it for a few weeks, and then I stopped, and then I did it for another few weeks, and then I stopped, and I did it for another few months, and I started. So I think more consistency with me would probably be another good thing that I can probably start doing.
I'll just say this: you've had some really great guests on. I've listened to most of them. I remember their names, but you've had people on from Google. You've had financial advisors. You've had on people just super intelligent, super knowledgeable, and you're killing it, man. Thanks, said it earlier, but you're killing it.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I wanted to ask you though, how long have you been married for?
3 years.
3 years.
So we had our legal anniversary was in January, and March is when we had the wedding. So 3 years.
Your wedding was in January, wasn't it?
That one, our ceremony was in March.
Is that when I went? In March?
Yeah, you would have went in March.
Okay.
Because the legal one was just so I can kind of get my visa stuff started.
Oh, I thought because you wanted to have sex. Anyways, no comment. How I actually wanted to ask you though, because how old are you now?
33, Joe.
33. You've been married since you were 30, basically. Mm-hmm. What's some advice you can give to some of us that are maybe thinking about getting married or wanting to get married, or just advice of being married? What's something that you kind of learned that can be helpful for some of us that want to be married, or even those that have been married, some things that you've learned along the way?
Well, I'll start with you and those who want to be married one day. I think the biggest thing I could say when it comes to finding a potential mate is to find someone that you can spend the entire day with and not be sick of. that's something I tell people. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm telling you now that if you're sick of someone after 24 hours, then there's no way you can go like a whole entire lifetime. Being married, some of the only thing I'll say is pick your battles for sure. I am somewhat of I'm pretty stubborn sometimes, and I kind of like to fight for no reason. But after the first year of marriage, it's just I don't have the energy for it. So sometimes you have to keep your mouth closed when it comes to certain issues. And hopefully my wife's not listening. She's not.
She's
We can speak openly, but I'll just say pick your battles for sure is something that I've learned.
definitely have heard that a lot. Man,
It's so true because you don't honestly want to be arguing about like stupid crap like the dishes. It's like, who does the dishes? Who cares? Do you really want to like have this mega fight about who does the dishes? It's like a 5-minute exercise. Do you want to ruin your entire night over something that it won't take that long? Or like who picks up what, or who picks up, who puts this there? It's just, I don't have the energy for that. I'm like LeBron James at 36. I just don't have the energy for certain things.
Man, LeBron James, what a legend. That's so good, bro.
Shout out LeBron.
Shout out to LeBron. Shout out to the Lakers.
What about you, man? Are you dating? You want to talk about that? You want to talk about your dating life? You've got to be one of the most charming, funny people I've ever met in my entire life. I think I've used flabbergasted 3 times on this podcast, but I'm going to use it a 4th time. I'm always flabbergasted to see that you still are without a lady friend or a man friend.
Yeah, bro. It's been a journey for me, to be honest. I think one of the biggest things that I feel like for me that I keep running into, and it's not so much about, well, during this pandemic, it's been a bit weird too, because I'm not meeting anybody either. And the only way I can meet anybody would be probably with the dating apps. But even those things don't really work out too well. Hell, Jamie. And the dating apps don't work out too well for me. So I think for me, one of the biggest things that I'll kind of like struggle with my head about is I want to get my life in order before I start maybe dating somebody. And I know people say, well, you'll never be ready for it. But it's not so much about me being ready for it. It's just more about me making sure that I'm good enough, or not good enough, but what's the word? Making sure that I actually have things in order. So like for me, my finance is one of the biggest things. Like if I date a girl, I'm pretty sure I'm going to spend money. We're going to spend money.
100%.
And the thing
100%.
about it is I want to spend money on her, but I want to be out of debt as well. And for me, I feel like if I start spending so much, first I want to spend money on myself, for my bills and all that stuff, but then I spend money on her, to hang out and all that. And maybe it might not add up to too much, and maybe it will, just because we're in the Bay Area, so things start a lot. So for me, I still want to be able to get my finances in order first to be able to do that. But then I feel like sometimes it's a cop out as well, because I'm like, well, there's still other things that you can do that are not you want to spend money with as well. So it's like those things as for me, but also, to be honest, I'm not meeting anybody because I'm not even going out anywhere right now because there's nowhere to go because we can't really hang out anywhere, And then last thing I want to say is mostly all of my friends are freaking married here. So like when you go out and hang out with your friends, you hang out with a bunch of couples. You don't hang out with like single ladies. So I guess for me, maybe I need to find more single friends to hang out with to find single ladies as well. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah. No, I hear your thought pattern. What is it like to be single these days? Like, where do you meet people? I haven't been single for a long time. Like, what is it? Is it all about apps?
Well,
is it still plentyoffish.com, or like what's the go?
Well, my biggest thing that I would use would probably have been church. You know what I mean? Because that's where, that's where you're gonna.
Are we talking about how leaders abuse people again, or is this a different conversation?
No, we're done with that conversation,
Okay,
bro.
cool.
This more of like, I want to find a good Christian girl as well. So it's like the best place to probably find a good Christian girl would be at church. That's one of the main things.
That makes sense for sure.
Because you go on the apps, and yeah, the apps are cool, but like, there's not very many Christian girls that are on these apps that I've found. You know what I mean? If they are, they're not on there. I don't know. But anyways,
There was great advice from a pastor. I think I heard.
from Carl Lenz.
Well, he was gonna remain nameless, but he always said to just, serve at church, keep your head down, keep serving, and once in a while look up.
That's from Carl Lenz.
That's from Carl Lenz, 100%. I feel like maybe he just started looking in different areas. So maybe do take that advice, don't take that advice. I don't know.
Yeah,
Don't do what he did.
No, for sure. Yeah, to be honest, like, I think that's the one thing I kind of am missing right now too, is that biggest thing. Like, for sure, like, I miss church and all that, but like, I also miss like meeting new people. You know, and one of them is meeting new girls, like to try to date and see
Girls
if
are
I find,
people, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, people, because I like meeting new people in general, but like meeting girls as well is like another big thing that I enjoy doing, and like going on dates and trying to figure out, if this is the girl that I like and move forward from that. But I just haven't been able to do that for the past year, and like I said, these apps, basically people just pretty much go by the pictures, you know what I mean? So for me, it's like, well, let me just find a good picture of myself. And like, I don't really take
Right.
selfies or anything like that, So it's just like, I don't know. It's just been tough for me lately. And so,
Plus, you don't have that dick root.
yeah, true. I don't have that dick root, but someday I will. But so that's what I've been working on, to be honest. So that's why I'm working on everything I can right now. So like my finances, my whole body, such as weight, health, teeth, skin, all of it, bro. I'm working on all of that. Going to the doctor. I went to the doctor and been going to checkups and seeing how I'm doing and just getting everything in order. And I feel great about it.
Tips, lips, and hips.
Yep. Tips. Wait. Yeah. So just been working on that. And I think it's been great, to be honest. Like, it's just been really cool for me to kind of see where I'm at and like have a goal in mind. And these goals are very much attainable for me. And so I've just been working hard on that. And so even though it does suck to be single, and I kind of do get lonely at times, I want to hold a girl's hand and go watch a movie together or whatever.
I want to hold your hand.
Bro, it's so real, man. And, but I feel like I'm making really good decisions right now to kind of be ready for that once this whole thing kind of dies down and we're able to start meeting up again and meeting new people. So
Love that, dude.
it's been
Love
tough, but it's been good too. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
I feel sorry for you, but I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, it'll work out, bro. Believe it. By this year, bro, for sure.
Nice. Nice. Well, I mean, we're almost in quarter 2 of the year, so you got to, I don't know, you got to go back on the app or, Plenty of Fish or something.
Bro, by December 31st, bro. By December 31st.
I'm trying to get out to Oakland, so if you guys get married there, I have my excuse.
Oh man, I don't know. Yeah, that marriage might not be here because everything is so freaking expensive out here.
Oh, then I guess we're going back to Plainview. I can see the origins of Joe.
Bro, it's so good. I can't believe you remember my hometown's name. That's pretty crazy.
How could I forget?
Yeah, true. Plainview, Plainview, Texas.
Shout out Plainview.
Shout out to Plainview.
Shout out Steve. Shout out your mom.
Oh yeah, I forget you met my parents.
Mm-hmm. I live with your parents.
Just because your dad's name is Steve?
Yeah, pretty much. Your dad actually looked like my dad, except he's much shorter and a little bit more Mexican.
Yeah, he's darker for sure.
Yeah. Jamie thought that was funny.
Oh, they stayed at your place, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I literally stayed with them for like a week.
I forgot about
for
that.
graduation. It was because they were here to watch you graduate.
I forgot about that. You lived with my parents for a few days.
They were the two of the biggest party animals I'd ever met in my entire life, honestly.
That's totally not true.
That's not true. No, they're great.
R.I.P. my parents, man.
Are they dead?
No, I just want them to rest in peace tonight. Like whenever they sleep.
Okay, cool.
I want them to sleep in chaos. I want them to sleep in peace. So
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Anyways, not too many questions I have left. I just wanted to ask you, are you reading anything at all?
Yeah, I am. I've been on a Jane Harper kick. Jane Harper is an amazing Australian author. She wrote The Dry that actually has been turned into a movie starring Eric Bana that Jamie and I saw last night.
Wow.
She wrote another book that I read. I can't remember what it's called. I'm currently reading. Oh, wait, no, it was The Survivors. That was a good book. I'm currently reading. What's the name of the book? I can't remember. She's a great Austrian author. She's been really good. I kind of switched over from like the the what? Oh, The Last Man. The Last Man. Great book so
So
far.
these are all novels.
Not all novels. I was, big into like the Malcolm Gladwell thought leaders type stuff. And I still love Malcolm Gladwell style books. But it was just getting exhausting. So I just felt like I wanted to switch over to just novels for a little bit. I will say Malcolm Gladwell, definitely one of my favorite authors. Outliers, The Tipping Point, and oh man, Michael Lewis as well. Also great. He wrote Moneyball.
Yeah, that's really good stuff, bro. To be honest, I've been loving novels lately too. Like, it's kind of like a breath of fresh air from like, the things we read,
Totally.
leadership or the Bible or stuff like that, but also from shows and movies as well. And so I've actually been reading this
Totally.
book, Wilder Girls. Have you heard of it?
No,
It's actually a really good
it sounds
book.
like a porn.
It's definitely not. It's not. It's a New York Times
Okay.
bestseller, and it's basically about these students. Of course, it's like an all girl school that they're on an island, and there's this like
Damn, dude, you're so desperate.
yeah, I need a girlfriend so bad, bro. No, it's about like there's this like kind of like outbreak that happened, and like they're quarantined on that island and they can't leave. And so, but the thing about it is we don't know what actually happened or what's happening outside of this island. And so, like, it's a really good book. It's very interesting. I'm enjoying it a lot. So,
And then eventually they get saved by this strapping half Mexican kid
yeah, named Joe
from Plainview.
Yeah,
Named Joe.
that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Yeah, bro. I don't know. It's been good. I like it.
Love that.
Anyways, bro.
Hey, listen, I don't know. It sounds like you're about to sign off, but I just want to say how much I miss you, how much I've been loving the podcast, and I hope you keep them coming. I mean, we don't have to sign off. This is your show. We can keep talking about whatever.
No, I was gonna sign off.
Hey, I heard. So apparently, Krishan is taking over in Hillsong, New York City. Krishan J. Radams. Yeah,
You're kidding, right?
that was on our group chat. Who said it? Chris Newby says Krishan and his fam are heading to New York City. They are the new East Coast pastors.
Wow.
Big news. This is what we do here. We break news. Just some
Breaking
instant reaction.
news.
Instant reaction. Matthew Hood says, yes, bro. So excited. Pablo says, I'm moving to New York City. Then Adiki says something super racist. We can't read it on this podcast.
I love our friends, man. They're amazing.
Yeah, they're just
so funny.
They're like the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, legit, bro. We have so many different freaking personalities in this group text, and it's just so like true. When they all come together. Like, I can't wait till whoever gets married next, because we're gonna just all go over there and hang out, and it's just gonna be so fun.
I'm looking forward to Pablo's wedding because I feel like that'll just be a massive party.
Oh yeah, 100%. I cannot wait. So will Griff's.
I mean, assuming I'm invited.
Yeah, say like, man, I hope I'm invited to. I'll be the usher or something. I'll have to do something.
I'll do anything. I'll serve food. I'll do whatever you want.
To be honest, people usually invite me to be there to be the MC. That's what I did at your wedding.
True,
too. Bro.
You're a great MC.
Your MC.
Yeah, you just got the more you. Every time you went up there, you were just more and more drunk. It was.
I called your dad by the wrong name. Remember that?
Yeah, did. Yep. How could I forget that?
Man.
And you got louder as well, which again was great. It was everything I wanted. I mean, some people said certain things, but I was like, hey, this is my
people
wedding.
Were pissed, right?
Nah, they weren't pissed. They were just like, whoa, what's going on with Joe? And I'm like, this is exactly what I thought would happen, and I'm so glad.
Well, as long as you and Jamie were happy, that's all that mattered to me. Was Jamie happy?
She was happy.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we had a great day.
Beautiful. No, legit. Thanks, bro. I miss you too. Miss our chats and our burgers from the Feedbag.
Shout out Feedbag. Shout out
the Feedbag.
Still the best burgers in all of Sydney,
bro. They're amazing. But thank you for being on here. Really appreciate it. And we'll have you again, maybe in about like 2 or 3 years. But hopefully I can be on your podcast soon for the baseball season.
We're gonna need to get you on there to talk about Dak whenever he inevitably leaves the Cowboys.
Oh, by the way, did you see about that whole trade that was thinking about happening? I
have not seen it.
This was news for the Russell Wilson and a 14 blockbuster trade proposal involving Deshaun Watson and Sam Darnold.
What? Wait, is that a thing that has happened, or it's a rumor that's going around?
They think that this it might be a joke, but basically what the trade included was New York Jets would receive Russell Wilson, the 49ers would receive Deshaun Watson, the Texans would receive Sam Darnold and 3 first-round picks, 1 second-round pick, and the Seahawks will receive Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick Bosa, and 2 first-round picks.
What?
But I don't know if that's real or not, but I did see that pop up on my news app that I have. So,
jeez Louise. It's the quarterback carousel in the NFL this offseason seems like it's just been out of control.
Yeah, bro. I'm kind of excited to see what happens with these trades. But to see Jimmy Garoppolo go to the Seahawks, I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm sure Newbie would love that.
Anyways, bro, thank you for being on. Legit. I love you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Bye.
Uh-huh.